All right, so this is showing my video. Okay. Okay, all right. Sharing my screen slide. Okay, I'm seeing my slide. One, two, three, one, two, three. I can check my video. All right, so this is the replacement of the lecture of the making up some of the cancellation of my lecture on the 11th week of the semester because of the herpes Jasper. I mean the 대상포진. So as that's a Tuesday on the 1 hour format. I mean no 1 credit hour. So let me try to make up on the main lecture of that week. So that will be the life course theory on the focusing on the childhood disadvantages accumulated in the health condition. All right, so there were three readings the covering the early life stages of the advantages and disadvantages. So those three articles are very highly cited. And then let me show you. So possibly the first one, I mean, like accumulated advantage of the life course. That's more about the foundation theory seeing that how those the life course events are impacting on the all life courses throughout all the stages of the life. And the childhood disadvantages and the health problems in the middle and later life, how it only imprints on the physical health condition. Checking how the life events happened in the early childhood and the adolescent period that will impact on the over the life course like our previous article. And so also what are the standards in the global context. So I may not go very details, but I will introduce very on the grand stories and the main stories of those articles, and then look through what are the main parts of the on the differentials of the examples. All right, so checking that, so what are the key parts of this lecture? So we are trying to distinguish the three life course models as critical period, accumulation, and pathway and apply them into the health condition. So in my understanding, we are more focusing on the accumulation today. So instead of the critical period and the pathway, but I'm not saying on that we are ignoring the other two because these three theories are very important parts in the life course theory. So even though we are focusing on the accumulation, but we are still considering the critical period and the pathway as the one of the three pillars, one or two out of the three pillars of the system. All right, so the major part would be explain only the cumulative disadvantages or advantages and the math effect as engine of the widening of dirt and health inequality, and how to describe biological embedding via ACE, which is the adverse childhood experiences, and the fatal origins, which is happening in the womb. I mean, during the pregnancy and the early very early on the life from like a baby time like that, and HPA axis dysregulation, which is very biological but happening in our body, and defend adolescence as a second sensitive period. I mean, the adolescence period is very early time period throughout the life. But looking through that, adolescence might be very big because there's not a baby time and infant period time, but that would be like a 청소년기 in Korean. That will be very important part in the life course in their later life. So that's why we are focusing on the adolescent period time as a part of the early period of life course, and shape the structural determinants, which are very on the big scope, not based on the microscope, but these are the big scope, the determinants like a national wealth condition, national level inequality, and education access in that country. And apply cumulative inequality theory to contemporary Korean health stratification. Spoon class disclosure, which is the 계급 수저 사회론 and education gradients and child maltreatment, and then adolescent mental health crisis in South Korea. All right, so let me go through the life course theory framework as a backbone of the week of the class. So again, there are three life course and the class theory models in the throughout the life course theory. We will cover more this week and this semester. The critical period theory on the model means that specific period, like a prenatal, the early infancy, is supposed to determine the lifelong health condition. So there are the limited compensation after that window closes, biological programming concept. So which means whatever happens in the early part of the life, very early part of life, that will impact the health conditions throughout the whole lifetime. And accumulation model is, oh no, that's not only happening in the very early period of time. Lifetime advantages compounds over time. The inequality gaps widen with the age. The Matthew effect means rich get richer, poor get poorer. So that might be the main focus of this lecture, but anyway, so we are not ignoring others. Pathway model means previous experience if it determines future opportunity and then choices. Early conditions create trajectories. Turning points can alter pathway. The alter means change. So early conditions change trajectories. That might be the main part. So turning points can alter pathway though. So they are all focusing on the on very different types of the life course and the timing of the events, right? But the accumulation model admits that the all time. So in the whole lifetime, the compounds over time. The inequality gaps will be widening with the age. So Matthew effect means rich get richer, poor get poorer. But by combining the pathway model. So even though the life course the disadvantage compounds over time, inequalities can the wider can be wider, but there can be also the narrower because of the turning points. So there can be the positive turning points, and there will be some negative turning points as well. So that's why. So again, these all three models are very important, but today we will focus on the accumulation model. All right, so life course events and health opportunity. Opportunity can be the usually advantageous opportunity, but we are also saying we are also mentioning about the negative opportunities as risk factors as well. So there are prenatal. Prenatal means that the babies are in the womb, right? So maternal nutrition condition and the stress of the mother and infection. So that will impact on the fetus. I mean the baby in the womb like a tea in Korean. And during the infancy, very, very early time, the babies, and the nurture quality, which is the parenting quality, and early bonding, which means the 애착 in Korean, and nutrition, the also the 영양 condition that will impact on the health condition. That's very common, right? It's our common sense and their childhood abuse and neglect condition, socioeconomic conditions, and other types of the conditions. So this is what we learned so far as the structural. There are the structural factors and the fundamental cause theory, and based on their resources, we can try to enjoy and we can make it. We are deprived from those resources. So that's why we are focusing on that. Adolescent period time, 청소년기, and adulthood in the no, no, 청년기, I mean the adulthood in the olden time, and old age. So there are very, very specific factors. We are seeing that the peer stress, academic pressure, body changes, the body image changes. So in 사춘기, in the puberty, during that period of time, the body images are very important, even though in the adulthood, that's very important. But during the time, these are the major types of the factors impacting on that. Job, income, marriage, and family, and lifestyle. So in your age, in our age, but it's hard to say that in our age with me, but anyway, so in your age and in my age as well, in the middle age, these types of the factors are the major types of the factors we are considering. And old age, cumulative harm, chronic disease, social isolation. So these are the main things. All right, so I'm not saying that these are so the abuse and neglect and social and economic conditions are only impacting on the childhood or something, but these are the major three types of the factors impacting on each specific type of the window of the life course. All right, so let's see how the biological mechanisms. So focusing on the biological theories, we are trying to check early life disadvantage as a biological embeddings, which means This is covering more about the critical period model, but we will see how those vectors are impacting on condition. All right, so hyper, so which is the very, very core hypothesis would be the Barker hypothesis, which means that starting from the maternal malnutrition. Maternal malnutrition means during the pregnancy, the how and what the mothers eat that will impact on the fetal metabolic adaptation. And based on the malnutrition, I mean the 영양 problem, the nutrition problem in that point in time, that will impact on the low birth weight, and that will impact on the other the metabolic disease like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and that will impact on the decades-long health consequences. So very early period time, the condition that will impact on the health condition a lot throughout the life courses. And there are also the biological mechanisms as epigenetic, the programming, the gene expression altered, not DNA sequence, stress hormone receptors change, and HP axis dysfunction. So that will be the main part of the biological mechanism. And then there will be lifetime stress vulnerability. So HPA axis dysfunction, that will majorly mean about the lifetime stress vulnerability. And so they try to use the database from the UK, United Kingdom, and using the cohort showing the low birth weight after 50 years later, there were two times more coronary death risk, which is the thus feminine offspring, there are metabolic disease, high prevalence. So the early life, very early life windows of the on the risks of the health risk factors that would impact on the very decades later health condition. So that's very striking finding, right? So there are the very wide on the decades depart. So apart, right? Their early life condition, the birth weight, and their very early life conditions, they will have the lasting impact of the condition, right? So ACE, which is the adverse childhood experiences. So original 10 adverse current childhood experiences. Physical on the, I mean, adverse means that 부정적인, like a negative. Physical and emotional, the sexual abuse and neglect, which is the 무관심, 굉장히 무관심한. The parental mental illness, because that will impact the childhood, their children's and the health condition. The substance abuse, 이거는 남용 of the medicine, the overdoses, right? Domestic violence and the happening within the family or happening within the couple, and the incarceration, imprisonment, and divorce, and the 이혼, many of you asked during the exam, and separation as a 별거. So these are the types of the childhood experiences happening in the family and happening during the childhood time. And so there would be on the ACE score and the connection with the health condition. So when they are old enough and the other smoking, obesity, depression, a suicide attempt risk and 7 or 10 times more, and cardiovascular disease, cancer incidence increased. So these are all the negative health events, right? These are the negative health behavior, and this is the other like chronic disease, mental health disease, and these are the self injury, and cardiovascular disease. This is the 심혈관 질환 in Korean. Cancer incidence increased. These are the negative parts of the life events. And stress biology means the repeated ACE, which is the very the accumulated types of the events of the adverse life of the childhood experiences. So this is also important, the repeated ACE, and there are the increased levels of the chronic stress activation, allostatic load will be increased, and organ system aging, disease mortality. So that will impact on that. So because of the aging of the organ system, the 장기 in our body, they will get old, and that will not function very well, and there will be the result of the outcome of the disease and the mortality. And stress hormones damage brain immunity, metabolism only. So that will impact on that. Right. So maybe that imply to me as they apply to me as well. So many of the stresses and many of the because of the short length of the sleep in these days for me, that may impact on the stress hormones that will damage my immunity, and then on that result in the position for me. So that's one possible the pathway we can see. And even though this is not other versatile events. All right, so based on the Korean statistics, there are also the parallels. Child abuse report, approximately 36% of those reported at least one ACE in the nationwide surveys. So we can apply that theory to other countries as well. All right, so the key statement. The life course perspective posits that the health is not simply a matter of the individual risk factors, but is fundamentally shaped by social advantage or disadvantage operating of multiple stages across the lifespan. So not only impacting on the one-time stages, but fundamentally shaped by social advantage or disadvantage operating at multiple multiple stages across the lifespan. There might be also, oh, I can see that. Okay. Oh, no, no. Okay. At multiple side life stages. So that will be also very important part of the theory. All right. So if we were in the classroom, maybe we could utilize these conditions. Like, can childhood disadvantage be overcome later, or is early damage permanent? That's very interesting, right? So critical period that's accumulate that means that focusing very majorly on the very early stage of the life. So like their metabolic system during the pregnancy. So when they are in the before the birth, the babies before the birth, I mean the fetus situation, their conditions that will have the a long-lasting impact on their condition or accumulation. Mm, which means admitting the early stages of the life events, but they are focusing more on the whole life stages and all life stages predetermined in childhood or can later experience compensate. We are not sure. So we are not sure which one is better or something, but we can see that the critical period theory that we focus on the all life events predetermined in childhood accumulation will mean that can be changed or that will happens all the life stages. So that might be the key differences. So how about Korea, the intense child education pressure like a Hagwon, the private education that will impact on the children, and poor born child with the good education later, does health trajectory improve or remain damaged? So that may be also possible in both of the directions, right? So that will be apart. All right, so first paper, the accumulating of this about the advantage over the life course. So based on their theory. So cumulative disadvantage concept, which is the core concept of the theory. Cumulative disadvantage concept. What we learned in the accumulated, like the accumulation model. Mhm. So all of these advantages, there are fewer educational and health opportunities. There will be reduced other resources, and they will have the widening cohort gaps as people age, right? So this is the main key definition about that. Time as a multiplier. Time as a multiplier, which means anything happening within the very early life stages and that will open the window or that will close a window over there or further and the next life stage is of the situation. And the disadvantage compounds non-linearly, which is the non-선형 관계, and small early gaps balloon into large adult inequalities, much like the compound interest. Match effective to those who have more is given, advantage breeds, further advantage, disadvantage breeds, further disadvantages. So that will be the main parts of the Matthew effect. So like there are dirt spoon, 흙수저, and gold spoon theory, the 금수저 theory. This course names the dynamic exactly birth conditions. Cascade through the private tutoring, which is the 학원, and the the entrance competition, 입시, and employment, housing, and marriage into adult health conditions. So that's the main part of the examples in Korea. So we can also consider policy implication. The earlier the intervention, the cheaper and more effective. So that will be a kind of the policy implication, which is 정책 제안 in Korean. We can see that. So what are the main theory? We will look through about that. All right, so there are also the biological development mechanisms in the biological, developmental, and social and behavioral. So early stress that will impair the stress, that will increase stress condition as well. HPA axis dysregulation that will raise the lifelong stress vulnerability. Immune system, you can like me, sorry to say that, like me, the 대상포진, not the cumulative disadvantage though. The chronic inflammation, which is a 염증, and aging accelerated. So the bargain, the aging of the organ, I mean the 장기 and also on, these are the negative factors in that conditions. And insecure infancy, attachment difficulties, I mean the attachment is the 애착 관계, poor self-regulation, school failure, education gap, job gap, income gap, health gap. These are more about the developmental theory and the social conditions as a low-income neighborhood, social isolation, like it's a more socio-economic condition, right? Weak network and information access gap, opportunity gaps, and school instability, peer relation breaks. So these are the social network and social conditions as well. And there are behavioral conditions like stress coping condition. Based on that one, the coping off, which is the stress coping off. What is a very good theory? The coping off means I forgot the resiliency. So if they have the very good stress coping of strategies, they are very strong on their stressful events like smoking. But if they have the very poor stress coping strategies, they will have the highly increased the chance of the smoking and drinking and drugs. These are the medication. These are the mayak, like cannabis and these types of stuffs. And that will increase the chronic disease risk, and the present time focus will be poor choose immediate and benefit over a future health condition. So that will be the main the theory we can see. So this is not main part of our lecture, but based on the longitudinal cohort studies. So they tracked the individuals in the specific birth year, the 30 years specific birth year, and then for decades. And they found that the long-lasting impact of the life, the early childhood conditions that will impact on the following stages. So child poverty conditions in 2025 in Korea as a parallel. Fortunately, in these days, Korea has very low, relatively low levels of the childhood poverty rate, but still, I'm not saying this is not a problem, but we will have the problem because the children under the poverty level in their family, they would have the two times more chance of the academic achievement gap based on their conditions. So based on the child disadvantages in the current status, because of the low levels of the childhood poverty level, that's very good condition, but still there are the accumulation of the disadvantages of the life stages throughout the life stages. So again, that will be very, very important key concept of the health condition in Korea. All right, so we should be intervened to break the cumulative disadvantages. The most cost-effective intervention timing, prenatal infancy or childhood or adolescence. Possibly the either. And anyway, or all the stages, we can see that. Does Korea's Dream Start program actually reduce cumulative disadvantage in the long run, breaking the math effect, the richer get richer, the poor get poorer, which one? How to break that connections of those concepts? We're not sure, but all of the discussion questions are not, it does not have the one answer because these are very huge questions. All right, so based on their condition, then based on the longitudinal data, there are race and many of the races, and they're trying to the Bourdieu framing, which is the distinction, the 구별짓기. So meritocratic ideology in schools prefer the which in the dominant class have habits better. So privileged students are more easily decode and exploit selection events like a tracking, AP replacement, and the teacher expectations. So based on their culture, if they have the very high social conditions, I mean they are from the poor, no, sorry, they are from the richer family, and they would have the better adaptation strategies. So that will impact on the lifelong accumulation of the advantages because of their cultural adaptations. So, core finding by age 46, the high advantage and low benefit gets wider. Unfortunately, right? So there are the narrowed down. So if that starts from the early the stages of the life, the gaps are getting larger and larger, and they will getting bigger. So confirming cumulative disadvantage and the Matthew effect. So that will be very important finding, very key finding of this article. All right. So race and prejudice, this is not happening in South Korea, but there are the racial differences as well. The Korean parallel, so from the high, the suja, like a spoon theory, we can see there are many of the the widening effect of the within the country. All right, so there are two more articles, but to prevent the break of the videos, but which happened, which delayed the posting of the video last time. So let me stop here, and I will come back in the next video. Thank you very much for your attention and see you in the next video. And this is the sociology of the health and medicine, the replacement lecture.